In today's video, we will look into the concept of sine wave generator. So, sine wave can be generated mainly using oscillators. So, first we will see what is the condition to produce oscillations. We'll go through the Barkhausen criteria for the oscillators. So, suppose we have a amplifier with gain A. This amplifier is the inverting amplifier. So if the input whatever is applied here, at the output we get a 180 degree phase shift. For an oscillator, we need to have a positive feedback. That is, the voltage which we take from the output and give it back as a feedback, it should be in phase with the input which is Vi. So whatever feedback we are taking from V0 and giving back to Vi, this Vi and V0 Vf should be same. That means our feedback network should again give a 180 degree phase shift. So 180 degree phase shift from the inverting amplifier and 180 degree phase shift from the feedback network. So say suppose we consider a inverting amplifier. This is the feedback network and our feedback is given back here. So this Vi is fictitious. We are not considering the input signal as of now. The output itself is given back as input to the amplifier. So we have V0 equal to A into Vi. Vf is equal to beta into V0, where beta is the feedback factor which is less than unity. Now Vf we can write it as A into beta into Vi. So if your feedback itself, if it is given as input to the amplifier, then the condition is A into beta should be equal to 1. So for the oscillator, if we want the feedback to drive the amplifier, our Vf should act as Vi. So for that, A into beta should be equal to 1, where A is the amplifier gain and beta is the feedback factor. And the total phase shift will be 360 degree around the loop. So the Barkhausen criteria states that the total phase shift around a loop as the signal proceeds from input through the amplifier feedback network back to the input, it should be 360 degree or 0 degree. The second condition is the magnitude of the product of the open loop gain. Open loop gain is A. And the magnitude of the feedback factor, which is beta, should be equal to unity. So A into beta magnitude should be equal to 1. And the total loop shift, phase shift should be either 0 degree or 360 degree. So these are the two conditions to produce the oscillations. So we will see what happens if A into beta is greater than 1, less than 1. If A into beta magnitude is greater than 1, then the output will oscillate, but the output is of growing type. This is the output. This axis is time axis. So we get the output which is growing type. This was when A into beta is greater than 1. If A into beta is equal to 1, then our output remains constant. The magnitude remains constant with constant frequency. So our amplitude and the frequency remains almost constant. We get a sustained oscillations if magnitude of A into beta is equal to 1. If it is less than 1, A into beta magnitude, if it is less than 1, then this is time, this is output. We get a decaying oscillations. So to start the oscillations without input, the magnitude of A beta is kept higher than unity, and then the circuit has to adjust itself to A into beta magnitude equal to 1 in order to obtain the sustained oscillations. Now, we will be studying two sine wave generator circuits. One is the RC phase shift oscillator and the other one is the Wien bridge oscillator. So first we will have a look into the phase shift oscillator. So for that we consider a RC network. We have the capacitor, resistor. This is the output, which is nothing but the voltage across the resistor. It is R and this voltage is VC. This is VI and the current flowing is I. Now we draw the vector diagram for this. So the current I taken as the reference. So the voltage VR is in phase with the current. The capacitor voltage is lagging the current, and this is our resultant, which is VI. This angle is phi. So we know that the capacitive reactance XC is given by 1 by 2 pi FC, and our total impedance Z is equal to R minus J XC, which we can write it as R minus J into 1 over 2 pi FC. So we can consider it as magnitude and angle is negative. So the RMS value of the input voltage, what VI is, we can express the current I in terms of input. I is equal to VI by Z. This Z having a magnitude Z and phase angle minus 5. So if we write that, we can have I is equal to VI by magnitude of Z. We take the angle up, it becomes plus 5. So we can say that the current I leads the input voltage by an angle phi. The magnitude of Z can be written as square root of R square plus XC square, and the angle phi is tan inverse of XC by R. So the drop VR is in phase with the current, while the drop VC lags the current by 90 degree. So by using the proper values of R and C, the angle phi is adjusted in practice to get an angle equal to 60 degree. So we can design a feedback network using resistor and capacitor, which can give 180 degree phase shift as required by the Barkhausen criteria. So one RC network gives 60 degrees, so we will use 3 RC networks, which gives us 180 degree phase shift at the feedback. So using this RC feedback network, we can obtain 180 degree phase shift at the feedback. So the first sine wave generator which we will be designing is using the RC network, so called the RC phase shift oscillator. The phase shift oscillator using op-amp uses an inverting amplifier which gives 180 degree phase shift, and the RC network which is used as a feedback, which also gives 180 degree phase shift, since we have 3 RC pairs. So the last resistor is nothing but resistor R1. So first RC, second RC, and this is the third RC network. So the first condition for Barkhausen criteria, which is 360 degree, is obtained from the inverting amplifier as well as the feedback network. So the frequency of these sustained oscillations is given by F equal to 1 by 2 pi root 6 RC. It is decided by the feedback network. So at this particular frequency, the gain of the op-amp should be at least 29. 29 so that it satisfies the second condition of the Barkhausen criteria, which is A into beta equal to 1. So here, for designing the circuit, we will assume that the current which is flowing through R2 is I1. So I1 is equal to 100 IB max. I1 is equal to 100 IB max. And the output of the oscillator, assuming it to oscillate between plus and minus V saturation, we assume V0 equal to plus V saturation or plus V0 at saturation. So our resistor value R2 can be obtained from R2 is equal to V0 saturation by I1, and we know that magnitude of A into beta should be equal to 1 and the gain should be greater than or equal to 29. That means our gain of this inverting amplifier is R2 by R1, which should be greater than or equal to 29. So from this we can find the value of R1. So this R1 is nothing but equal to R. So R is equal to R1. So using the expression for frequency f equal to 1 by 2 pi root 6 RC, we can find the value of the capacitor C. This is how we design this circuit. Now let us see how we obtain a gain which is greater than or equal to 29. We consider the feedback network which is having 3 RC sections. So this is the input to your network and this is the feedback. So V0 is equal to Vf. Now what we need is, we need Vf. We need to obtain beta which is equal to V0 by Vi. So here we have V0 equal to Vf. This V0 is equal to Vf, which is equal to I3 into R. So our aim is now to find what is I3. I3 we can find it by applying KVL to all these 3 loops. So now we have 3 loops here. First we will write the KVL for all the 3 loops. First consider the first loop having a loop current I1. So the expression for the KVL equation for the first loop is given by Vi minus I1 into minus jXC minus I1 minus I2 into R equal to 0. So if you simplify this, you get Vi equal to I1 into R plus 1 by j omega C minus I2 into R minus I2 into R. This is the first equation. So the equation which we obtained from the first loop. Likewise, we will obtain the expression for this second loop and third loop. The second equation comes up to minus I1 into R plus I2 into 2R plus 1 over j omega C minus I3 into R equal to 0. This is the second equation. And the third loop equation is minus I2 into R plus I3 into 2R plus 1 by j omega C equal to 0. So this is our third equation. So we have got three equations now. So we can obtain I3, which is equal to, using Cramer's rule, we can write it as d3 by d. D is the determinant obtained by using the three equations. First, those three equations we have to write down in matrix form, and then we have to find the determinant. Then replacing the third column of the matrix by the right hand side values, we will get D3. So we'll see how to obtain D and D3 now. So writing those three equations in matrix form, we get R plus 1 by j omega c minus R 0 minus R 2R plus 1 by j omega c minus R 0 minus R and 2R plus 1 by sc. This into I1, I2, I3 equal to Vi 0, 0. So we have this as a matrix. So this is not S, this is j omega. J omega. Now this j omega, you have to replace it by S so that we can simplify it in few steps. So we'll replace that j omega by S and rewrite the matrix, and we have to find the determinant D of this particular matrix. So if we solve this matrix, the determinant what we are going to get is given by D equal to 1 plus 5 SRC plus 6 S square C square R square plus S cube C cube R cube divided by S cube C cube. This is the determinant what we are going to get from that particular matrix. Then to find D3, replace the third column of the matrix by third column of the matrix elements, we have to replace it by Vi 0, 0, and again find the determinant which gives us Vi into R square. So now we have I3 with us, which is equal to D3 by D. So D3 by D, we will write it. I3 which is equal to D3 by D is equal to Vi R square. The denominator one goes here as cube C cube divided by 1 plus 5 SRC plus 6 S square C square R square plus S cube C cube R cube. Now we know that V0 is equal to Vf, which is equal to I3 into R. So for this particular expression, we have to multiply R. So if we multiply R, it becomes into R means this becomes R cube. Vi into R cube S cube C cube divided by the same term in the denominator. So we can write beta, which is equal to V0, that is this divided by output of the feedback divided by input to the feedback. Beta, which is equal to V0 by Vi, we have to write it from this particular expression. See here, this if we write, we have here V0, which is equal to Vf is this. So we can get V0 by Vi from this particular expression. So beta, which is equal to V naught by Vi, is given by R cube S cube C cube divided by 1 plus 5 SRC plus 6 S square C square R square plus S cube C cube R cube. And now previously we had replaced j omega by s. Now s replace it again by j omega. So if s is j omega, then our s square becomes minus omega square and s cube becomes minus j omega cube. So we can write beta as minus j omega cube r cube c cube divided by 1 plus 5 j omega c into r plus 6 is not plus, it becomes minus 6 omega square c square r square minus j omega cube c cube r cube. Now what we do is we will consider 1 by omega rc as alpha. We'll consider 1 by omega rc as alpha, and this particular equation we will divide both the numerator and denominator by minus j omega cube r cube c cube. So we'll consider alpha is equal to 1 by omega rc and divide this numerator as well as denominator by minus j omega cube r cube c cube. So we get beta equal to 1 over 1 plus 6j alpha minus 5 alpha square minus j alpha cube. Separate the real terms and imaginary terms. We get 1 divided by minus 5 alpha square is the real term plus j alpha into 6 minus alpha square is the imaginary term. So to have a phase shift of 180 degree, we will equate the imaginary part in the denominator to 0. So if we equate alpha into 6 minus alpha square equal to 0, we get alpha equal to root 6. That means our 1 by omega rc is equal to root 6, or from here we can write f is equal to 1 by 2 pi root 6 into rc. So this is how we get the expression for the frequency. So at this particular frequency we will find what is alpha. Sorry, not alpha, we will find what is beta. So in this real term, we'll substitute the value of alpha, which is equal to root 6. So we get beta is equal to 1 divided by 1 minus 5 into root 6 the whole square, which gives us minus 1 by 29. Minus indicates that there is a phase shift of 180 degree. So that we can write magnitude of beta as 1 by 29. So we have the second condition for oscillation, which is A into beta magnitude should be greater than or equal to 1. So we will get A magnitude of A greater than or equal to 1 by magnitude of beta. So beta substitute it as 1 by 29. We get magnitude of A should be greater than or equal to 29. So this is the condition for the sustained oscillations. So we can adjust the value of R2 and R1 so that our gain is greater than or equal to 29. Initially our magnitude should be greater than 29 and later on it should be equal to 29 so that we have a sustained oscillations. So the advantages of this RC phase shift oscillator is the circuit is very simple to design. It can produce any frequency in the audio frequency range. It produces a sinusoidal output. and it is a fixed frequency oscillator. So disadvantage is we cannot change the value of R and C when the circuit is on work. So we have to, if we want to change the frequency, we have to redesign the circuit. We need to replace the resistor and the capacitor each time. So this is practically impossible. This is one of the disadvantage of the RC phase shift oscillator. The second thing is the frequency stability is poor due to the components which depends on the temperature, its aging factor and so on. So only it can be used as a fixed frequency oscillator. If the oscillator output is not stabilized, then it will attain the maximum level of saturation. So what it can do is it will distort the output waveform. So we need to minimize the distortion as well as we have to reduce the amplitude to a acceptable level. So for this purpose, we make a slight modification in the phase shift oscillator circuit, that is by adding a amplitude stabilization circuit for this. So you can observe in this circuit the resistor R2, which was the feedback resistor, is now replaced by two resistors, which is R3 and R4. So this R2 is equal to R3 plus R4. And we can see the diodes. There are 4 diodes. So when these diodes are conducting, it will short the resistor. That means R3 will be equal to 0. The voltage across the R3 will be equal to 0. So what it does is, so whenever the amplitude exceeds some level beyond the maximum level, this D3 and D4 conducts. So thus the resistance R3 gets shorted. So our gain, which is equal to R2 by R1, which can be written as R2 is R3 plus R4 by R1. When R3 is shorted, our gain can be written as R4 by R1. Therein, the R4 should be designed so that the gain is not enough to sustain the oscillations of a very high amplitude. So this resistance R3 and R4, as you can observe, it is fixed. We can make it variable by splitting R4 again into two, R5 and R6, wherein R6 is a fixed resistor and R5 is a variable resistor. So when we are going to design the circuit, we will design it in the same way as we design the phase shift oscillator. So we have here R2 equal to A into R1. We know that A should be 29, greater than or equal to 29. So R2 is equal to 29 R1. Now we need to find the value of R3. R3 is given by 2 Vf by I1. Vf is the voltage drop across the diode. Since we have two diodes, we'll consider 2 into the voltage drop of the single diode divided by I1. So we know what is the value of R2. We know what is the value of R3. By using this, we can find the value of R4. So this R4 can be further split into R5 and R6. So for design of the diodes, for selection of the diodes, we need to consider that their reverse recovery time should be maximum of 1/10th of the time period of the oscillations. That means the reverse recovery time of the diode TRR max should be equal to T by 10. So we have to select the diodes based on the reverse recovery time, and the reverse recovery voltage of the diodes must be greater than the supply voltage. So this is one of the oscillator which generates this sine wave. The next type of oscillator which generates a sine wave is Wien-Bridge oscillator. In Wien-Bridge oscillator, we have this as our feedback network. and this is the non-inverting amplifier along with resistor R3 and R4. This part is the non-inverting amplifier and this part is our feedback. So it is an AC bridge in which balance is obtained only when the supply voltage has a particular frequency. So our R1, C1, R2, C2 forms the Wien bridge, and the output of this is applied as one of the input to the amplifier. Next, the resistors R3 and R4 along with the op-amp, it forms a non-inverting amplifier. The output voltage from the amplifier, which is V0, it is attenuated but it is not phase shifted. That means there is no phase shift in a Wien bridge oscillator circuit. So the Barkhausen criteria is the phase shift has to be 360 degree or 0 degrees. So here there is zero loop phase shift, and the amplifier will resonate at a particular frequency of the bridge. So at all other frequencies, the bridge output and feedback voltages do not have the correct phase shift or amplitude relation to sustain the oscillations. So the bridge is balanced when we consider that R3 by R4 should be is equal to R1 by R2 plus C2 by C1. So this is the equation which describes when the bridge is balanced, and the expression for frequency is given by F is equal to 1 by 2 pi. Within the root we have R1, C1, R2, C2. So if we assume R1 equal to R2, which is equal to R, and C1 equal to C2, which is equal to C, we get F is equal to 1 by 2 pi RC. And since it is a non-inverting amplifier, we can have R3 equal to 2 times R4, and our amplitude voltage gain, amplifier voltage gain is given by A equal to 1 plus R3 by R4. This value should be equal to 3. It is derived in the same way as we derived for the RC phase shift oscillator by considering this series combination of R1 C1 and this parallel combination of R2 C2. So in this, the non-inverting amplifier gain should be minimum of 3 to sustain the oscillations. So designing is, assume a value of the capacitor which is C, find the value of R. We can make R1 equal to R2 equal to R, C1 equal to C2 equal to C. And the amplitude stabilization circuit for the Wien bridge oscillator can be designed in the same way as we have done it for a RC phase shift oscillator. So instead of using a resistor R3, we can split it into two, which is R5 and R6, and we connect a diode, because our amplitude will change, the voltage gain will change whenever R3 is going to vary. That is how we can design a amplitude stabilization circuit for the Wien bridge oscillator. So all the signal generators, whether we generate a triangular wave or we generate a rectangular sine wave or a pulse, it needs to have a control for adjusting both the output amplitude as well as to alter the DC voltage level of the output. So output amplitude, we can control it easily by varying the gain of this particular amplifier. So if you observe here, if our positive terminal is grounded, and input applied to the negative terminal, then it becomes a inverting amplifier. We know that gain of the inverting amplifier is given by minus R2 by R1 in this case. So if we want to vary the amplitude, we can just vary the value of R2 and R1. So in this circuit, you can see that R1 is fixed. So if we vary the value of R2, our amplifier gain can be easily adjusted. And you can observe a capacitor C1 here. It is used to ensure that the DC voltage level at the output of the signal, which is generating this signal, it is not passed to the output stage. So it blocks the DC. Now usually what we do is, if it is an inverting amplifier, the non-inverting terminal we ground. That means the voltage or the potential there over there is 0. If we want to vary the DC, then instead of connecting it directly to ground, we connect it to a potentiometer. So we have an arrangement of 3 resistors R3, R4 and R5, wherein R4 is variable and it is connected to the positive and negative of the supply. Even here we have the positive of the supply and here we have the negative of the supply. So with this arrangement, the DC output voltage can be adjusted above or below the ground. So we have to design the circuit in the same way. R2 and R1 we design in the same way as we design a inverting amplifier circuit, and assuming a current which is flowing through the resistors connected at the non-inverting terminal, we assume that the current is I3. I3 is very much greater than IB max. Then we find the value of R4, which is nothing but voltage across the resistor R4 by I3. Likewise, we find the value of R3, which is voltage across R3 by I3. R3 and R5 we assume it to be equal, and then we find the value of capacitor. The capacitive reactance XC1, it should be very much less than the resistor R1. So the capacitor C1 can be calculated by C1 is equal to 1 by 2 pi F minimum into R1 by 10. This is how we calculate the value of capacitor. So by using a op-amp, we can generate different types of signals along with the different amplitudes.